have been since 2006. And I like to do a lot of activities that are very active and challenging, just in and of themselves, and do have some challenges as far as being diabetic. And I just thought that someone out there might benefit from some of the things that I've learned the hard way, some of the tips and tricks that I can give, that hopefully can help you do all those things that seem really hard and maybe impossible to do if you're type 1 diabetic. It's not impossible. It takes a little extra planning and maybe a little more stress, and you're gonna carry more stuff, but you only have one life. You gotta do the things you want to do. So last September in 2021, I did the California Coast Classic, the CCC ride. It is benefiting the Arthritis Foundation, and it is from San Francisco to LA. It's over 8 days. It's 525 miles, plus or minus, depending on the detours you might need to take. And it was intense riding. There were 80 plus mile days, big climbs, especially through Big Sur. And it was such a challenge, but it was also so much fun. I did it with my dad, and it was the first time I had ever done anything like that. I hadn't been riding that much for several years, and so I kind of got back into it quickly in July and broke my sit bones back in time to ride every day in September. And I'm just so glad I did it. It was such a great experience, and it was definitely an added challenge to do it as a type 1 diabetic, but I think I figured out some things that worked really well for me, and they might work for you too. So I'm type 1 diabetic. I'm on the pump. I use the Omnipod pump and the Dexcom G6 for proof. And the Dexcom and the pump, but especially the Dexcom, has really changed the game for me over the last handful of years. I think I wouldn't have even thought of doing some of the things that I do now if I didn't have Dexcom, and I didn't have that constant insight into whether my blood sugar was dropping, or just the trends, and versus getting the single data point in time with pricking my finger. So, to jump right in, for biking, the thing that has completely changed the game for me is this bad boy. So this is a Topo Designs bike pack. It goes on the front bar. I haven't put this on my new bike yet because it's new and it's beautiful, and when I do a long ride next, I'll put this on, but I'm still preserving its beauty. But this is what got me through my long ride. So I use this not just for the 8-day extravaganza rides, but if I do anything over 40 miles, I'll probably put this guy on my bike, because it actually holds quite a bit, and it means I don't have to stuff the living daylights out of my pockets on my jersey. So so this, highly recommended. I think you can get other brands, but this was reasonable. I like the colors, it looks cool, and it works really well. And it's gonna be able to go on any bike because it's just these two straps. So as far as what I put in my cute little pack, safety first. This is my glucagon. It's the Baqsimi. Knock on wood, never had to use this. I've never had to use a glucagon before. I've always been able to catch my lows in time. But the second I'm doing anything active that's more than a couple of hours, I will take one of these with me and tell whoever I'm with, you know, hey, this is on my person, here's where it is, and here are the instructions. So this definitely on my ride was in here every single day. And shocker, insulin. I always will keep a vial with me in case something happens with my pump and I need to put on a new pod, or if, you know, my pod controller just completely dies, I can inject with a syringe. I love these little, that's my cat destroying a chair. I love these little covers. They're from a company called VialSafe, and the second I open up a new vial, I'll always put one of these on, because I have had a vial fall on the floor and crack. And if you're diabetic and you've paid for this, even with insurance, you know that's a sad day. Very sad. So, VialSafe cover on my insulin. If I was going to be in hotter weather, so for the ride, there were some hot days, but it wasn't like insanely hot. If I'm gonna bike in the summer in LA, I might think about using a Frio. So this is a Frio pack. You can get it on Amazon, but it has this little inner sleeve that has these beads in it that when you soak it in water, they become gel and they keep the contents cool. And you just stick your vial in here and put it in this little pack. But that's a good option that I use for backpacking or hot hikes. So depending on where you're riding, you might want to do that just so you don't fry your liquid gold. We all know that the sensors sometimes don't want to cooperate. And also, you don't want single point failure, you know, when you don't have access to anything. So as a backup, I always carry my tester kit. And next is carry at least one syringe, or if you prefer maybe a pen with some needles. I just prefer the syringe and vial combination because I have the vial if I need to put on a new pod, but if that whole system goes down, I can just use this with a syringe. Up to you. I always have backup low snacks. I mean, that's a given. So I'll stick some extra gels. These are both Stinger, but I'm not loyal to any brand of these. Anything that has the sugar in it. So I'll always stick a couple of extra of these in my pack as kind of a backup. I'll stick an extra goo stroop waffle in. These, they're not gonna hit your system as fast if you're low, but if you're trending and you have some time and you're sick of eating gummies or gels, this is a very good option. In my pockets, I will always stick in at least one gel, a waffle, and gummies. These Cliff brand, I thought they were called shock blocks. Love these for riding. You can fit several of these packs into a biking pocket, and it's not like a huge, gummy pack. So I just like the form factor, and they're pretty soft, and so they're easy to chew when you're biking uphill and are gasping for air. You're not gonna choke on these. You can chew them pretty fast. They hit your system fast. They also have electrolytes. Can't ever have too many electrolytes. I mean, you probably can, but, and they're like packed with sugar. I mean, this package, 2 servings per package, and each serving is 24 grams of carbs. So this has 48 grams in it. I mean, yes, please. So 1 or 2 of these in my pocket, 1 or 2 of these, 1 of these, and then a bag of gels in this guy. And of course it depends on the day that I'm doing. If I'm doing on the ride, if I was doing a 45-mile day, which was, one of the really low days, and if there wasn't going to be tons of climbing, I definitely wouldn't bring that many snacks. But for the longer days that were 80 plus miles and where we had huge climbs, I would load up on all of this just in case. Electrolytes, always keep 1 of these in my pack. Even if you have, aid stations that are going to have recovery drinks, they're not always, you don't know what kind of electrolytes they're going to use. They might not actually be that high in electrolytes, and they might be super sugary, and depending on what your blood sugar is doing, you may or may not want some sugary electrolyte drink at that point in your ride that day. So I love Ultima. It's 0 carbs and tons of electrolytes, and all the flavors taste really good, and you can get these little travel packs. So I drink these every day after my workouts, and then on rides, depending on the length of the day and how hot it is, I'm drinking anywhere from like 1 to 3 of these during the day. If you're not on the electrolyte train, like, where have you been? And how are you riding? I'd be Cramp City if I wasn't drinking these. We haven't even scratched the surface. This is not diabetes specific, but extra CO2 cartridge. I, with my new bike, have converted to tubeless tires, so less need for those. On my old tires, man, it was flat city, but always keep 1 of those. Got some degreaser packets. I am always covered in bike grease. I just look at my bike and I have grease stains. Enough said. Sunblock. We're already dealing with diabetes. We don't need to be like sunburned, charred, skin cancered, okay? Sunblock. There's always extra syringes. If you're diabetic. Crystal Light is, it's not great for you, I think it's Splenda, what they use to sweeten it, but it's 0 calorie, 0 carb, and you can get these ones that have caffeine in them. Great for an afternoon pick-me-up. And again, like aid stations, you never know what they're gonna have, and a lot of times they just have like really sugary stuff to drink. And for me personally, if I'm not actively going low, I don't want to deal with like bolusing for a sugar drink when I'm gonna hop back on my bike. It's a recipe for absolute disaster. So, Crystal Light packets. I'm sure you can get different brands and stuff. I just like these because they taste good. 0 sugar, caffeine. Chapstick, made by a friend. And a patch kit. Won't need this any longer on my fancy tubeless tires. But if you don't have tubeless tires, and if you haven't had an experience where you get 5 flats in 1 ride, so that's how I do a 500 plus mile ride as a type 1 diabetic. Yes, you have to carry some more stuff. You're not going to be the most ultralight of the ultralight people in any sport that you do, but you get to do the sport. I mean, everyone has their own challenges to deal with. We just get to carry a little extra stuff, and we get to eat more gummies. Nothing wrong with that. So let me know if you have any questions. Like I said, I've kind of figured this stuff out the hard way, and would love to give any advice, if advice is needed, on long rides or training and how to deal with it as a diabetic. Okay, have a great day.